The Highway Code is published by the Department for Transport and is licensed under the Open Government Licence version 3.0. For more information, click in the link in the description below. Multi-lane carriageways, rules 133 to 143. Lane discipline. Rule 133. If you need to change lane, first use your mirrors and, if necessary, take a quick sideways glance to make sure you will not force another road user to change course or speed. When it is safe to do so, signal to indicate your intentions to other road users, and when clear, move over. Rule 134. You should follow the signs and road markings and get into the lane as directed. In congested road conditions, do not change lanes unnecessarily. Merging in turn is recommended, but only if safe and appropriate when vehicles are travelling at very low speed, for example, approaching roadworks or a road traffic incident. It is not recommended at high speed. Single carriageways, Rule 135. Where a single carriageway has 3 lanes and the road markings or signs do not give priority to traffic in either direction, use the middle lane only for overtaking or turning right. Remember, you have no more right to use the middle lane than a driver coming from the opposite direction. Do not use the right-hand lane. Rule 136. Where a single carriageway has 4 or more lanes, use only the lanes that signs or markings indicate. Dual carriageways. A dual carriageway is a road which has a central reservation to separate the carriageways. Rule 137. On a 2-lane dual carriageway, you should stay in the left-hand lane. Use the right-hand lane for overtaking or turning right. After overtaking, move back to the left-hand lane when it is safe to do so. Rule 138. On a dual carriageway with 3 or more lanes, you may use the middle lanes or the right-hand lane to overtake, but you should return to the middle lanes and then the left-hand lane when it is safe to do so. Rule 139. Climbing and crawler lanes. These are provided on some hills. Use this lane if you are driving a slow-moving vehicle or if there are vehicles behind you wishing to overtake. Be aware of the signs and road markings which indicate the lane is about to end. Rule 140. Cycle lanes and cycle tracks. Cycle lanes are shown by road markings and signs. You must not drive or park in a cycle lane marked by a solid white line during its times of operation. Do not drive or park in a cycle lane marked by a broken white line unless it is unavoidable. You must not park in any cycle lane while waiting restrictions apply. You should give way to any cyclists in a cycle lane, including when they are approaching from behind you. Do not cut across them when you are turning or when you are changing lane. See Rule H3. Be prepared to stop and wait for a safe gap in the flow of cyclists before crossing the cycle lane. Cycle tracks are routes for cyclists that are physically protected or located away from motor traffic, other than where they cross side roads. Cycle tracks may be shared with pedestrians. You should give way to cyclists approaching or using the cycle track when you are turning into or out of a junction. See Rule H3. Be prepared to stop and wait for a safe gap in the flow of cyclists before crossing the cycle track, which may be used by cyclists travelling in both directions. Bear in mind that cyclists are not obliged to use cycle lanes or cycle tracks. Rule 141. Bus lanes. These are shown by road markings and signs that indicate which, if any, other vehicles are permitted to use the bus lane. Unless otherwise indicated, you should not drive in a bus lane during its period of operation. You may enter a bus lane to stop, to load or unload where this is not prohibited. Rule 142. High occupancy vehicle lanes and other designated vehicle lanes. Lanes may be restricted for use by particular types of vehicle. These restrictions may apply some or all of the time. The operating times and vehicle types will be indicated on the accompanying traffic signs. You must not drive in such lanes during their times of operation unless signs indicate that your vehicle is permitted. Vehicles permitted to use designated lanes may or may not include cycles, buses, taxis, licensed private hire vehicles, motorcycles, heavy goods vehicles, and high occupancy vehicles. Where high occupancy vehicle lanes are in operation, they must only be used by vehicles containing at least the minimum number of people indicated on the traffic signs, or any other vehicles such as buses and motorcycles as indicated on signs prior to the start of the lane, irrespective of the number of occupants. Rule 143. One-way streets. Traffic must travel in the direction indicated by signs. Buses and or cycles may have a contraflow lane. Choose the correct lane for your exit as soon as you can. Do not change lanes suddenly. Unless road signs or markings indicate otherwise, you should use the left-hand lane when going left, the right-hand lane when going right, and the most appropriate lane when going straight ahead. Remember, traffic could be passing on both sides.